What is poppin', ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, the Holy Commentator here, and I'm using this microphone. Do you want to know why? This bad boy doesn't want to work. This thing doesn't want to stand up properly. I have no clue what this thing is, but it's supposed to help me with my microphone, and I can't figure out a way for it to work.
He's pulling his cock out!
So we're using a lav mic. Is it going to be good? I hope so. I pray to God it does, but either way, we're going to be using this in the video. So if you guys enjoy this video, and today, do you know what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the future of gaming. And yes, I am very concerned about the future of gaming as of recent, with the last couple of flops that have been coming out from a lot of different gaming companies and the lots of different terrible strategies that gaming companies are using to try and get people to play their games. And I want to talk about all these kind of stuff and the things that I'm actually worried for, and try to express what most fans are worried about for the new games that are coming out, because we have some big games that are really coming out next year, or supposed to come out next year. The next Skyrim game could be coming out soon, and of course you have GTA 6 that could be coming out soon. These are two monumental games that could be coming out soon, and I have never felt more worried about anything in my life. Now, of course, there are going to be small dramas that have been related to stuff like this, like stuff that are related to Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Like, for example, the last release that Bethesda had wasn't too good, which was, of course, Starfield, which flopped that well. And if it didn't do that well, then I'm worried about Skyrim in the next game. And of course, when you have games like Fallout 4 and a lot of the other games that are coming up from Bethesda being a lot dumbed down, let's see how this new Indiana Jones game is. But if you have these continuous game flops from a game or a big developer like Bethesda, then you start to get worried about the future for Skyrim, of course, or for Rockstar even. You heard the drama from before, how apparently one of the CEOs or one of the marketing managers, whoever the hell, started talking about trying to get a different, scummier monetization strategy. And that's also not going to be good for the gaming industry. And all this kind of stuff just from the two big games that are supposed to be coming out this next year. The two monumental games that could be coming out. And that's what I wanted to talk about. And I want to talk about what the problems are of the gaming industry and what the best parts are about the gaming industry at the moment, of course. And I want to discuss the future of gaming. So, of course, if you do like this video, do me a favor, like and subscribe. And let's finally talk about why I'm scared for the gaming industry's future and what is super good about the gaming industry right now. Now, so I don't sound like a Debbie Downer, whatever the hell you want to talk about, let's go talk about the positives of the gaming industry right now, which is the fact that gaming has never been more accessible ever in fucking history, okay? It is very clear that all these games that are coming out is making everything so much better. Like, I need you to think about this kind of stuff, right? Think about all the indie developers that are making games. How many of those indie developers that are doing good? I mean, think about Elatro or something like that. This poker game that was actually supposed to be, Game of the Year, supposedly, right? That was nominated for a possible pick of Game of the Year. You have those kind of games. And then you have, on top of that, a bunch of other games released by a bunch of other developers that are free. Whether they're good or not, they're still free games, so you can download and you can play. And of course, you have the accessibility of different game passes that are coming out. Xbox has a game pass, PlayStation has a game pass. On Steam, you have so many free games that you can download and play, just purely based off the fact they're on the Steam store. And on top of that, games have most of the time never been cheaper unless they're from AAA titles, right? Of course, you have the Call of Duties and stuff that are coming out, but if you were to look at a Steam page, most of the time, they're going to be very cheap games comparatively, which is amazing for the gaming industry and amazing for people that are trying to get into gaming, which I find absolutely fantastic. And that's one of the greatest things that has been coming out recently when it comes down to the gaming industry. They know what they're doing. They have their shit down when it comes down to accessibility. Every single audience can access these games. Every single audience can figure out some sort of console. You can play on your phone, for God's sake. Everybody can play games now, which is a benefit to the gamers, but also a negative when it comes down to big companies making games, because it's never been more accessible. Therefore, people are possibly willing to spend more money because they have the opportunity to, right? And since other games are cheaper, you have the big games that are going to be taking a lot of money, but it also means a bunch of scummy strategies by companies. But we'll talk about that in the second half. I also want to say that there are so many game developers out there. Screw the indie developers or AAA developers. They have so many of them now these days, so you can basically go and select any one of them. Now, of course, you do your research into a game, and you have so many big games that you can go and you can look at these days. Like, think about it, right? Whether you like, Starfield or not, you don't like Bethesda, that's fine. You have other creators like the people who made Elder Scrolls and these kind of things. They're releasing consistent stuff, right? They're releasing consistently good games. And you have other big developers, even if you like Ubisoft, you don't like Ubisoft, we're talking about Ubisoft in a negative way here in the second part, but even Ubisoft is dropping more games than ever and is, again, very easily accessible if it comes down to everything in the gaming industry. And I really hope this accessibility continues on into the next years, and I don't think it can slow down. You have so many indie developers, so even if all the AAA developers were to fail, it doesn't really matter too much. But these are just some of the biggest positives. But here's the problem, is that there is a ton of negatives. Let's go talk about the negatives of this next year, or the things that I'm worried about when it comes down to this next year of gaming and to the future of gaming. Now, what am I worried about, you may say? Well, thank you for asking the questions. I am absolutely in fear of what happens in the next little while when it comes down to the gaming industry. I am genuinely a little bit scared of some of the next stuff coming out of the gaming industry. And let me go tell you a couple of reasons why. Of course, you have things like Ubisoft. You have Ubisoft that is coming out with a bunch of trash nowadays and is struggling to keep as a company afloat because they keep investing into stuff that doesn't matter. And their games that they do release are most of the time something that is either subpar or nothing that's so innovative that you can need to buy the new stuff. You can always maintain the old stuff. You can always play the old Assassin's Creed games and most of the time have more fun than a new Assassin's Creed release. Or Far Cry, for example. Why would you want to play Far Cry 6 instead of Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 4? There's not enough innovation when it comes down to that kind of stuff in Ubisoft and these AAA companies, which again, I'm scared for if it comes down to the future of the games that I really enjoy. And I really enjoy games like Siege. I really enjoy Siege. It's a really fun game. I mean, if you don't want PTSD, it's going to be a whole separate story. But either way, I'm scared about these kind of games going down into the trash bin and never being able to play them again. Again, this is one of the biggest things I'm worried about. And of course, when it comes down to most of the new game releases, that just in itself is very scary. Just seeing lots of these AAA developers fail, which is also a good thing at the same time because these game developers are supposed to be learning from this. But the problem is they're not learning anything from this. And here's the other thing I'm worried about is developers continuously cutting down a lot of this political bullshit. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at my why old BioWare was better than the new BioWare video. You'll understand why I'm talking about that here, because continuously, and it seems like in every one of these games, they tried to appeal to a small group of people instead of their larger audience. They don't focus on the actual gameplay, they don't focus on the story, and it seems like they focus on the political side of things. And that's what I'm extremely worried about when it comes down to these next games that are coming out, because I don't want to focus on politics when it comes down to these games, and if you do focus on politics, you should do it in a very good and better applied manner. Right, let me just make a comparison. You want to play a game like Dragon Age Veilguard, or do you want to play a game like Fallout New Vegas? Now, Fallout New Vegas is chocked full of political issues, but the difference is, amazing story, amazing gameplay, you love to play it. Dragon Age Veilguard, mid-gameplay as far as I can tell, and a story that is very chocked full of these things and very boring as far as I can tell. Right? You see what the problem is, and you see why everybody thinks that a lot of these social political issues are the things that game companies are focusing on and not the game and story. And that's especially what I'm worried about in these next years, because they don't seem to be learning from this. You don't see it in Ubisoft, you don't see it in any of these other gaming companies. You see the struggle of these gaming giants that are supposed to be releasing amazing games, where they just seem to now fall flat. They continuously focus on these social issues, and it's not something they should be focusing on. And that's not even including the other things I'm worried about, like monetization strategies in companies in gaming. Monetization, like, come on, think about some of this stuff. You have continuously in almost every single game a battle pass. You have it in Call of Duty, whether you spend $0 or you spend $100, you always get a battle pass that you can pay for. You can spend more money on. You always have more options to spend more money, and instead of companies giving you more bang for your buck, giving you more sides of like a map or a story or an extra side quest or something that you would get, like, for example, let's talk about Star Wars Outlaws. Right, you have the main game, then you have like 2 other editions all the way up to $115, where the main game is like around $60, and the big gigantic everything edition is $115, which includes, of course, a side quest and a bunch of other stuff like that. I don't care about cosmetics, but if you're capping stuff because, you know, DLC, downloadable content, you just want to monetize downloadable content instead of actually trying to monetize a very good game, a very full game, that is especially what I'm worried about in the gaming industry. And of course, just the way that it all goes and the way that it's all going at the moment, it seems like that's the way they're going, where they're not actually focusing on trying to make the best game they possibly can, but they're focusing on the monetization. Now, of course, every company needs monetization. They need the money. It's obvious. Even since the very first initial Call of Duties, that was their goal and objective, was to make money, but it also seemed to have a 50-50 objective with, I want to create a good game. Think about the old Bungie developers. These guys made the Halo games because they thought they were cool and, of course, to make money. Those are the two big things. And, of course, Bungie, old Bungie at very least, had that idea down. You don't have those kind of game developers these days, and it seems like super corporate, and people don't want to work on the shit that they're working on. And you have such big companies that don't seem to be able to, cooperate together, which means that game releases are a hell of a lot slower, which is also what I'm scared about for the future of gaming. We have to wait 8 years for a release that could be shit. And that's also, getting on to the next point of the new two big games, the two big gaming giants that could be released in the next couple of years, or the next year for that matter, which is, of course, GTA 6 and the next Skyrim game. Now, I will say it here right now, I am not confident that Bethesda can make a good Skyrim game. They spent so much time on this, but the way that they're doing everything and the way they're collecting everything at the moment and collecting themselves doesn't make it look like the next Skyrim game will be good. They keep, let's go talk about the last game. They don't add a good bunch of stuff. Like they don't add good side quests. They don't add a good storyline. They don't add, a very good expansive area of anything for that matter. If you compare it to the old games, even Fallout 3, they had at least a good expansion of. You had good setting, you had a good idea, you had a decent storyline that you can still at least want to follow. But it seems like with every new release, they don't focus on the storyline, they don't focus on the side quests, they don't even focus on the environment, and they focus on whatever else they want to focus on. And I'm scared when it comes down to the gaming industry for something like that. Or when GTA 6 has companies that are trying to, focus 100% on monetization. I understand GTA 6 was expensive and is probably going to be even more expensive as it continues on, but I'm still utterly worried about these things. And it continues on, and I'm continuously feeling more and more fearful of what these next games will be and how they're going to be developed. And that's just some of the main fears that I have over this next couple of years, and I hope that they actually find a remedy for these situations. Again, I'm really happy that there's indie developers coming out, but I miss the big game series that we all know and love. So either way, gamers, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. What game are you hyped for in this next year, and what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Leave it all in the comments. Let's go discuss it. Let's go talk about it. But either way, gamers, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. This is me, the Holy Commentator, signing off for now.